And another segment of our coverage on the American Farm Bureau National Convention. Our guest on this segment is Greg Bartz. Greg, a member of Farm Bureau since about 1980, and was on the state board for about 8 years. Been president now for several years of the Brown County Farm Bureau. And Greg, you've had a chance to be taking in different segments of the virtual American Farm Bureau Convention. First thing, we were talking before, Zippy Duvall, president, he did his main address. It was from his farm in Georgia, which I think is pretty cool. And Sonny Perdue was on, and you had Sonny on. Of course, this will be his last presentation. He's been coming every year to the national convention, but he talked a little bit about the impact of COVID on farming this last year, and that's been significant, hasn't it been?
Yeah, it really has, especially for livestock producers. With the packing plants shutting down because the workers were getting ill, and so livestock backed up, and so they did have to euthanize animals and dump some milk. Um, and so that's really was a big impact on farmers this year, and we are just-in-time food system in the U.S. It's efficient to produce it and get it in the stores as soon as possible. The problem with that is if you have something like COVID that would interfere with part of the food supply, um, things back up, and then there's shortages in the grocery stores, but there's plenty of animals and product and produce on the farm, but it can't be harvested. So, the just in time is very efficient, but when something bad happens, it kind of goofs up the whole system.
Greg Bartz is with us, President, Brown County Farm Bureau. By the way, before I forget, all of these sessions, all the workshops from the Farm Bureau Convention have been archived. If you go to fb.org/events, there's no charge. It's free of charge. Folks are encouraged to go there, whether you're a Farm Bureau member or not. That information is available. Greg, I know one of Minnesota's own, Beth Ford. She's the president or CEO, rather, of Land O'Lakes. And she was on and had a session with Zippy Duvall also, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like a fireside chat where they both talked about subjects, and they talked about the food system. Land O'Lakes as a co-op, and uh, is very involved with all aspects of the food system, and so they talked about problems with that too when you have just in time.
Greg, I know you sat in on a workshop and presentation on the status of the farm economy. What can you summarize on that from what you heard?
Well, I always like listening to the American Farm Bureau economists. They have several economists, and so they're looking at different issues and how things affect the ag and farm economy, and and they kind of talked about some of the same things. This past year was different than just about every other year, and with the problems with again the food harvesting and shortages and stuff like that. Um, and of course we had terrible prices for several years, and now just at the end of the year, beginning of this year, the grain prices have gone up quite a bit. So um, you never know from year to year. You think a year is going to do a certain thing, and it
Yeah.
it seems like it always proves you wrong.
Well, one thing that's good right now, I'd say for the most part, farmers have a little more hop in their step than they did a year ago, right?
Yeah, I'd say so, and that is true. It has a better attitude than if you're in the black versus in the red.
Yeah. Greg, one last thing. Again, you've been a member of Farm Bureau for so long. Why is it a value for farmers to be a member? What do you see as this strong value of Farm Bureau, and why any farm folk should be interested in becoming a member?
Well, now anybody can be a member. You don't have to be a farmer.
Yep.
Most of our members are involved in agriculture somehow, don't have to be farmers. And you can be not involved with agriculture and be a member. But we do a lot of things working on legislative issues on the national and state level, and even on the county level sometimes. So that's very important. Getting our message out, what farmers do, and you could say public relations, explaining to people how their food is produced and how important it is that how we take care of our animals and take care of the land and water, and explaining a lot of things like that. Plus, we also have a very robust uh, young farmer and rancher program where we're training leadership training of our next generation farmers, because farmers are always looking to the future. It seems like farmers always take the long approach on things. Whether you're buying land or trying to build up the land, you're generally not like a lot of companies where they're looking at quarterly results. It seems like farmers are looking at decade results. They look at the long term. So all those things are very important, and people should be interested and concerned where their food comes from.
And for anyone that's interested in joining, whatever county it would be, I believe it's mnfb.org, mnfb.org, and you can find information on joining. Greg Bartz from Brown County, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your information that you shared in regards to the National Convention and Farm Bureau in general.
Well, thanks for having me on, Jim.
Greg Bartz, our guest. That's another update on the American Farm Bureau National Convention. Jim Bartles reporting for the Ingstead, Minnesota Radio Network.